My creative director once told me that I reminded her of the girl from Devil Wears Prada.
You know the writer girl that's like the new assistant.
I did, in fact, and I thought it was quite a nice compliment. But then I had the realization, because she was my boss, that she was definitely talking about cerulean sweater Andy and not Chanel in Paris Andy. In my hands, I have the 24 karat gold Labubu. Not sponsored. Fun fact, e-commerce uses AI. I don't know if that's probably a widely known fact, and it's not at all fun, but it is a fact. And AI only really reviews clothing based on their condition, the brand, the type of article of clothing it is. AI hasn't evolved to the point where it can synthesize archival or the ability, I think, to look at historical, cultural, or archival references. So what it saw was just a lumpy blue sweater. But what AI doesn't know is that it's not just blue, it's not turquoise, it's not lapis, it's actually cerulean, that I no doubt fished out of some clearance bin. Just did some like cross-referencing with the cable knit pattern, the style of the sleeves, the style of the collar, and I knew that it was made by J. Crew. I think most articles of clothing still do this. If you look inside the tag, if you look in, it'll say HO05, which that is holiday 2005, which tracks because The Devil Wears Prada was filmed in 2006. I think that this is the blue cerulean sweater. Guys, this is crazy because it was 15 bucks. Should I try it on? Should I try her on? I think I have a button down too that I can like really go for. Oh wait, I even like it untucked. Oh. I did pull this out of the casual corner, Miranda. I did. You know, maybe that's where my cynicism comes from. I think Andy and I are very cynical in the same sense, but for different areas of the fashion industry. I think coming to Runway and looking at, high fashion in the grand scheme of things, it's, it is elitist, it is very inaccessible. And it makes sense as to why she, felt that way, especially, caring about larger causes, something that is as individual as, the clothes that you put on your back. Yeah, it's not going to hold the same weight. For me, I'm largely cynical of the fast fashion industry, which, it's not just your big multinational corporations that people think of. It's even the popular stores that people love to do hauls from. Like everything is fast fashion at this point. And I think it is so largely abusive to, the consumer, the laborer, the environment. And to me, I see that as a waste, just like how Andy came to Runway and saw all of this as a waste. It's similar feelings, different fonts, I guess. I think the way that I look at high fashion, I look at it more as art, architecture, sculpture. It just so happens to be in a different medium, in fabrics or in compositions of fabrics. However, I do think that it's still art that deserves to be made and brings meaning in different ways that isn't as obvious. Like the cerulean sweater monologue is iconic, but it's also iconic because there's so many other facets of high fashion that have trickled down into what is appealing, what is taste. All this to say, I think fashion gets a bad rep because it is the only art that you can really put on and wear as an individual. Like you can't put on a building, you can't put on a painting. You can try, but like realistically. I also think another thing that Andy sort of taught me is that it is okay to change. It's okay to care about your appearance because ultimately it's how you present yourself to the world. I don't think there was ever a time where I didn't care about my appearance, but I think I was always afraid of like caring too much or, you know, getting into that slippery slope of like vanity or like falling under, pressure of, beauty standards. I think that's also why I've always gravitated towards, runway models because these aren't typical beauty standard. I mean, okay, let me unpack before I get chewed out in the comment section. I think as far as typical beauty standards, like facial features, and it's not typical faces. I think I was able to find beauty in the difference of faces and how, different faces are stylized because it helped me sort of, appreciate my features. My nose was like the first thing to form on my face, and I was like horrifically upset about it because I felt like I had such a petite face and like a slender figure and like this huge nose. And then also like I have a really soft chin. Like these are all things that aren't like, you don't think, oh, soft jawline, big nose, like wow, the standard of beauty, right? Like being able to see such like different forms of expression on faces helped me feel better in that way. Like everything on my face is where it's supposed to be. Luckily, like I can see, I can smell, like I'm good, right? And I think in this era of my life, like now I just get to focus on like, okay, what brings out my features the best and, naturally and makes me feel confident. You don't necessarily have to change yourself or change who you are. Your job is to just bring out the best parts of you, which I think is a much easier ask and less scary than anything really permanent or really serious.
When I think about my style then versus now, my personal ethos and how I think about style has changed, and my frame of reference has evolved. Magazines have always inspired me. I have a giant stash of Teen Vogue at my house, remnants from my teenage girlhood, but my entire style choices back then were informed by what other girls at school were wearing, what was deemed acceptable to wear. I wouldn't dare stray any further. But as a young adult, I'm becoming a student of the greats, and I'll forever be a student of the greats. What wasn't fully realized back then was the understanding that good taste and good fashion have always been in reach. Same thing for Andy, with the help of Nigel and his incredible eye, of course, but she absorbed the zeitgeist of fashion and knew it was flying through those office doors and attacking her desk every day. So it begs the question, what are you looking at? I owe a lot to Ali. Without him, there would be no Casa magazines. He'll deliver papers to the elderly during a snowstorm, he'll save you copies of magazines if you ask politely, and most importantly, if you're a regular, he'll remember what you like to read. I frequent the cafe next door often. I've had so many writing sessions on this little corner. There have been times Ali has loaned me magazines when I can only afford to look at them, so long as it's for my own education. And yes, that education does include all things fashion in various languages, and of course, my favorite magazine that still produces real editorials as God intended.
What sucks is that there's like no runway coverage in print. If I want to see looks or to, watch a show, like that all has to happen online. And I look at screens all day, I type all day. Ultimately, it makes having that space in fashion so much more important. Lias, if you don't follow him, you should. He's the creator of La Watch Party, and he started out in Paris at these little like bars, and he would ask the bar manager to stream fashion shows like they would a football match. And there were so many people that got involved, so much community that came out of it that it eventually caught the attention of a lot of these fashion houses. And Chanel sent him to New York. And so I was really lucky enough to attend the Chanel La Métier d'Art. I think that's how you say it. La Métier d'Art? D'Art? the Chanel Le Métier d'Art show. I think that's how you say it. That took place in New York, but had a special screening in the meatpacking district. And I, luckily enough, was able to attend. And it was just such an incredible nightlife experience, coupled with what we love about fashion, to be in community, to share reactions, to be in fashion. Because we all know these things are not accessible to us always, the fans of fashion. It was so fun. There's so many fun surprises. I actually met a young designer there, and we've been friends since, which is so lovely and what these spaces are meant for. But yeah, what Lias has built is so special, and on a larger scale he's democratized fashion in the way that it is becoming more accessible to fans of fashion, or regular folk, and gathered such large groups of people who value openness and welcoming in an industry that's been historically anything but. His work really does inspire me, especially as someone who believes in fashion and inspiration from fashion should be accessible to all. Okay, I've decided I'm channeling my inner Chanel Paris sexy Andy for the screening today. I feel like it gives, just based on all the visuals I've seen. If I'm really going to method dress, I'm gonna do it at Low Watch Party. Are you kidding? And I'm nervous because I know there's always, Lias is always up to something. I decided to wear boots because I didn't shave my legs, so. It's midnight, so I have to take my makeup off and go to bed. But wow, that defied my expectations. I just finished my Letterboxd review, and I need to eat. I need to eat dinner. Oh my god, I'm just at that point where it's 12 o'clock. I need to eat dinner. I need to take my makeup off. I need to shower. And then I need to wake up at 8 a.m. because I'm going to the office tomorrow. David Frankel, the screenwriters, the cast, both present and original, everyone did their thing. Everyone did their thing. That was so good. Yeah.